Yo. Aubrey Edwards, Tony Schiavone. We bout to party. We bout to party. Unrestricted. Got the house now. We gon' turn it up.
Hey everybody, welcome to AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. I am Aubrey Edwards here with my wonderful guest co-host, Alex Abrahentes. How are you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic, Aubrey. Really excited to be talking to our guest, one of the most unique individuals in all of professional wrestling. A lot of fun, and he knows how to party.
Oh, big time, big time. We've got the 28th Ring of Honor World Champion today, self-proclaimed Hanson and Lady Gaga fan, and honestly, one of my favorite parts of Ring of Honor and part of what drew me to Ring of Honor when I first started watching wrestling beyond just standard big TV wrestling. Welcome Dalton Castle to the podcast.
Oh, geez. Well, thank you. Thank you both for such kind words. I appreciate that. And Aubrey, you've been one of the people that have made my transition to AEW very, very, very easy and welcoming.
Awesome.
So that's really exciting to hear it.
No,
and I do know how to party. You're gonna want some sharp cheeses and olives. Olives really bring up the atmosphere. So
yeah, you can make a mean charcuterie board.
Right.
Yeah. We've already got two of the ingredients.
Right. I was going to ask, is there any beyond sharp cheeses and olives? Is there anything that you feel is necessary for a good charcuterie board?
I mean, you can add more, but I mean, those are the base ingredients. You get those two in the house and things are going to get wild.
Has a charcuterie board ever been used as a foreign object?
Oh.
You know what? Maybe not so much an object. I remember years ago in Ring of Honor, Cody and I had a contract signing and he had brought out some meats and cheeses.
That's right.
And he hogged them all. He ate them all.
He did.
Big cow.
How selfish of him.
Oh my God. I feel like not necessarily in a match, but anytime there's a backstage food fight segment, if there's a charcuterie board around, someone's taking it to the face. It's great.
Who cleans that up? Building staff or
great question.
TV staff? Because that's all I think about when I see backstage food fights.
Whoever it is, they signed up for a bad day of work without knowing about it, because I'm sure that's a hassle.
Because the building's a rental. And we're just throwing frosting all over the place. And I don't know if you've ever been backstage in an arena, but there's crevices everywhere. It's like an English muffin.
Crevices. I love it. That's such a great word. Oh my God. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Dalton Castle and just the history that he's had. You've been
but let's make it snappy because I got things to do. I'm busy. I got to bring the Subaru in. Got to varnish some paintings. There's a whole day ahead of me.
Wow.
You've been Ring of Honor World Champion. You've been Ring of Honor World Television Champion. You've been two-time World Six-Man Champion along with the boys. Number 15 on PWI Top 500 back in 2018. You've had a wonderful career in Ring of Honor. We'll get to some of the prior stuff as well. But I want to talk about back in April of last year, Supercard of Honor. You reunited with the boys. What was the first time that you heard that TK was buying Ring of Honor, and sort of what was your emotion you were feeling with that?
Oh, I heard when the rest of the world heard when it was announced on TV, and then Twitter exploded. It was a wild night, emotionally, because right before that, I mean, I don't know how many people know the real story of Ring of Honor, where we closed the doors maybe 3 months before Tony bought it. And I would say maybe 9 to 10 months before that, I had gone to this weird crossroads where I was going to leave Ring of Honor. And a last second decision, I just realized how incredibly lucky I was to be a part of ROH and how happy I was there and how I think I figured out what I want to do with the rest of my life. And I decided, okay, no, I'm not leaving Ring of Honor. I'm going to stay right here. And that was January 2021 when I made that realization. And it was the best 8 months of my life. After that, there was this weird clarity. I was the happiest I've ever been. I feel like my work improved because I finally figured out what to focus on. And I feel like I had some of the best 8 months of pro wrestling in my life. And it was weird too, because there wasn't even like an audience. We were still doing kind of closed arena shows. And and then come late October, we had this meeting and they were like, nah, remember all that happiness you found? It's over. We're closing the doors. Everyone's fired. Get out.
Oh no.
And it was just weird. I was still like in a good mood because I had that moment of clarity and I knew what I loved and what was important, but I didn't have a job anymore. So it was like this weird balance between emotions. And then March, Tony bought Ring of Honor, and like instead of like shock and confusion, it was like optimism. I just realized, oh my God, finally somebody who loves pro wrestling is in charge of this, and I think we're going to be okay. And I just kept thinking real positive about it. And then I got invited to come be a part of the first show, and it was amazing. I have so much gratitude towards Tony and everyone who's kind of helped out to revive and keep Ring of Honor alive. It's wild. It really is a wild time right now, and I'm really happy about it.
So let's talk about your first appearance on AEW TV, right? What was that like? When did you get that call, and what was kind of going through your mind when you realized, wow, okay, Ring of Honor was acquired. Now I have an opportunity to be exposed to all of these other amazing wrestling fans all across the world through AEW.
I'm sorry. When I got the call to be a part of which show?
Like AEW. Battle of the Belts.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Belts. It was like, I think I got called like 2 days in advance. I just got like a text. Like, I was excited. I wasn't like nervous. I think I was most nervous about like entering a new school, you know? And then once I got there, I was like, oh no, I know all these people. These are all my friends. I've known them for like a decade already. I knew the weight of like seeing more eyes on me, but I didn't really fear it because I've always kind of trusted in myself. I know I'm good. I know I'm real good at this. And I just kind of had to like just keep doing what I was doing and just not treat it any different.
One of the things I loved about that in particular is like you have a presence about you and you have just a phenomenal, I don't know, character and presentation and all of these things. Like the spectacle of professional wrestling is alive and well whenever Dalton Castle enters the ring. And one of the things I love about sort of AEW is when people come from prior organizations, like that is still intact. So I know I was ecstatic when you got announced as appearing on Battle of the Belts 2. I was like, oh my God, we're going to see a Dalton Castle entrance with like clapping and sequins and sparklies and wings and a human chair.
And the original boys, right? Was that the first return of them?
I think so. I think that was the return of them. But yeah, it was just so awesome and wonderful. And I remember like just your kind of ascension of everything. Like when I found out that you were going to wrestle Chris Jericho and he's going through this whole, I'm going to wrestle every former Ring of Honor champion. Like how did you find out about that one?
Well, all right. So like the entrance and everything for the show, that's always like a risk. Like someone likes what you do in the ring doesn't necessarily mean they're going to allow you to do everything that you've been doing prior. And with Tony, that wasn't the case at all. It was, he wanted it. Like we did Supercard of Honor. And then when I remember coming to the back and talking to him and he was like, hey, I think we need to get the boys back. And I was like, yeah, that makes the most sense in the world. And then we did Battle of the Belts and there was the production team was so patient to like rehearse everything and make sure they got the camera shots right. And like that settled me down and set my mind at ease. And having Brent and Brandon there alongside me was just like riding a bike. It was like, this is the comfort level that I remember. I trust these two more than I trust anybody. So like, and to get to do that on the big stage of AEW was like setting me up for some really easy success. So once that went well, I remember getting a couple weeks of traveling with the show, and I might have been Toronto. The first night of Toronto, we were there. I got told you're going to be probably doing a segment with Jericho tomorrow, and like that was words I didn't think I would ever hear in my wrestling career. But so thrilled to do it. And like the next night, you're going up against, I'm going out on this program that I've never really featured. Nobody should know who I am in the AEW audience. And I'm going out on a Canadian show against their Canadian hero, Chris Jericho. So like the second I walked out, there was that, how is this going to go? But the crowd was so welcoming and loud. They chanted my name. I didn't even introduce myself. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm comfortable. This is going to go great. And I had like 4 days to just freak out about it over the weekend until we had the show in Cincinnati. That's how I heard about it. Just quickly, briefly backstage. They're like, hey, this is going to happen. So just be ready.
Yeah, I remember that Wednesday, I'm pretty sure it was, of the match. We saw each other at catering. And I remember saying to you, I'm like, can you believe, how the world works and how we're here at this moment in time? And I'm like, I'm so proud of you to have this amazing opportunity to Chris Jericho. And I can just sense the excitement and just how ready you were for this. What was it like after the match, and what was it like being in there with someone like Chris Jericho?
Well, one thing I remember most is no matter like what kind of weird excitement, when you get like a situation and like it's loud, but then it's quiet at the exact same time, like that's this is a horrible way to compare it, but the scene Saving Private Ryan.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. But so I just remember being like in that mode, and the thing that sticks out the most to me is you, Aubrey. Like there was something you come over and you get in my face, like you're doing awesome. You're wrestling Chris Jericho on TV. I was like, yeah, I am. God, that kept me going real. Yeah, it had to be amped up. It was just really fun, man. There was nerves because I don't want to be the guy that Chris Jericho thinks sucks, because like I look up to him so much as a performer, but also. It's a little easy too, because like you're like, well, I'm in here with Chris Jericho. This can't go wrong. It's going to be great.
I think
plus the circus happening around the outside with all the boys and
oh my god,
Jake.
Yeah, we had a number of boys that time, and that was when like Jake had the hat. I think they stole the hat. Like it was just like a wild time. Yeah, one of the things I love about working with Chris, especially when he's working with guys that, as you say yourself, like AEW audience isn't necessarily familiar with. Like he's very good about making sure that you are highlighted in the way that makes you look good. Like, oh, this is your offense. Cool. We're going to make sure this works. This is part of your character. Yeah. Okay, cool. Your entrance is great, but let's put you on a fucking throne. Like, let's do all the things that make people believe in Dalton Castle so that this match is competitive and that people believe that like you have a potential shot at winning the title off of Chris Jericho. And I absolutely love it. Like it's the fact that I got to work with both of you at the same time was just like, made me feel so good. And we've got so much. Oh no, go ahead.
It's a learning lesson for anybody who works for him or when he watches that, because you watch these older guys who've been around and you think, oh, they're just kind of looking out for themselves. But with Chris, and it should be with everybody, you really need to remove the selfishness of it and remember that, I mean, no one ever goes, that guy was good in that match. But the other guy sucked. They just think the match sucked. So like if everybody's not doing great, point. Then you're not putting a good story together. You're not giving a good performance. So like it's nice to see that and like learn that from watching somebody do it for me.
This is such an awesome conversation. We've got more coming up on AEW Unrestricted.
It's Alex and Aubrey back here at Unrestricted with our very special guest, the Party Peacock himself, Dalton Castle. And Dalton, we talked quite a bit about what it was like coming to AEW, but let's rewind a little bit. What was it like going into ROH, where were you before? How did you get the call to end up in ROH? And how did this whole kind of experience with Ring of Honor start for you?
Oh, I think what happened was I might have the order of things a little out, but I'd kind of been knocking on Ring of Honor's door for a little bit. I had lived in Albany, New York. Bobby Fish and I were really close friends. We traveled together, and he just started kind of like being there full time. I got invited down to a tryout in WWE. It's 2013 or 14. I don't remember the year. It went so well until it didn't. And then, and that really messed with my head, being told no. And there was a few months of like weird depression where I was like, well, I don't know where I belong then. And I remember going to a Ring of Honor show. I think it was Final Battle at the Hammerstein. I talked to Rhett Titus. He said, you can come help set up the ring. So I showed up, set up the ring, said hi to some people. And then I just stuck around for like the opening match. I had to like catch a flight or something, but I remember when like the music, the Jethro Tull song plays that before the show starts at Ring of Honor, and the lights start going and everyone's banging on the metal guardrails. There was this like energy in the room that like I've never felt at a wrestling show in my life, and it just like really became clear. It's like, oh no, I don't need WWE. Like this is where I belong, and like I can be a part of this and find the happiness that I'm seeking in this art form right here. And it like really lit a fire under my butt, and I started like working harder. I stopped like feeling sorry for myself and thinking like wrestling was over. I was like, there's more paths than what you thought there was. And after a few months, I kind of like was putting together some pieces to the puzzle. I knew what I was doing wasn't like connecting with the crowd, and talked with some friends in Canada who were running the show, and we started like brainstorming an outfit idea. I got the jumpsuit, like a cheap one. I got this cheap like jumpsuit, and I already had a cape because who doesn't?
Just have one laying around.
And my friend had set up for me to come out to his show with 3 showgirls, and I remember like doing it. We didn't like to block out the entrance or anyway, but it was fun. And then I came in the back and he's like, hey, how'd it go? And it's like, it was good. I think it needs to be boys. And like just that realization like made me like everything so much easier. I drove home and in my mind putting together the pieces, and like 6 days later I had a show and I had costumes together, and I would just grab 2 local students to go through the entrance with me. And the first night I was like, oh, this works. So I maybe did that for about a year or 2 before Ring of Honor gave me a look, and I did like a training camp for them. I showed them the act, and they said, we're going to put you in the top prospect tournament.
Ooh.
And that was in Nashville, which is where I live now. And I remember I had the flu 5 days before.
Oh no.
I flew myself out to Nashville, chugging Dayquil, and met the Tate twins at that show, which is like by happenstance. They were standing ringside, and I needed 2 guys to help me with my entrance, and they were the ones that looked exactly like each other. And we were like, well, this will work.
Yeah.
And they took it so serious. Like we had just met, and they like rehearsed. We were on hour number 4, and I remember seeing them in the back, like going through the motions of everything. Yeah, doing the hand things, and it was there. It's my night. It was my match to lose or get a job, and they focused so hard to help me out that it made everything go so well. And I think it was from that point we're like, oh yeah, I mean, it should be the same guys every night. Well, I don't remember what the question was. What do you want to talk about?
It doesn't matter what the question is. This is just such a great story. So fantastic. Yeah. I was curious, like, and I think I've asked you this backstage, like, do you just have a suitcase full of boys' costumes?
I do. Yeah, I do. And now there's like a prop box like that travels with the show. I think there's just, so you can go in and get yourself some baby chicken shorts or something.
Yeah, if I
thought you were going to say you can go
pick
out some boys. I was like, wow, that's a pretty big road.
Yeah, there's a roadie case full of boys. Case one breaks.
It's pretty great because it's like, all right, what extras do we have? Which ones are rhythmically inclined that can actually clap on beat?
Yeah,
so he's like, you. Okay, what size do you need? Open up this giant box of like, all right, here's some shorts, here's some sequins, here's a mask, here you go.
It's my dream. Do you think I want 400? I want 400 boys from the rampway to the ring, and I want to float across the top of them.
Where they just like hold you and just guide you down the ramp.
Hands, yeah.
And there's feathers everywhere.
Goals.
Don't make me touch the filthy floor.
No. It's like people body slam on that floor. You don't want to be there. There's like sweat and it's just, it's gross.
And boy feet. There's boy feet all over that floor.
That's right. I always hate when we're in one of those cold venues and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad for these little baby chickens right now.
Oh. Yeah, I like it backstage. Sometimes I have to remind them. You can wear clothes until it's our turn. Like you can put a shirt on, and they're just shivering in the corner like chihuahuas.
Right. That's also a phrase you only hear in wrestling. It's okay, you can wear clothes now, and then you'll just have to take them off before you go out. There's very few professions where that's the case.
I should really watch what I say. But you might have the boys forming a union. You don't want that.
Unionize.
Oh my God.
Let's go back to 2017.
We are not projectiles.
Poor boys. Let's go back to 2017 and talk about Final Battle, the big night that we all were hoping would someday happen. Dalton Castle becomes Ring of Honor World Champion. What was that like? And obviously you had been dealing with some major back issues as well. So, tell us all about that experience.
Yeah, first off, there's always like the risk. You get some news ahead of time. And you're like, well, is this real? Is this really going to happen? It's pro wrestling. Things change like right up into the last minute. So like, no, that anxiety I'm dealing with for months going, I don't know. I didn't tell anybody that was the plan. On top of that, I had broken my back like a year prior and just was unaware of what the injury was. I just kept ignoring it and dealing with it. Like I remember for months, I would show up to shows and I would just lay on an ice pack until like my music was playing and just go out there and pretend to wrestle somehow. And like that. And I knew down the road what the plan was for me. So I couldn't just take time off or tell anybody. I just had to deal with it, which looking back is a really stupid mentality, but also like why my career is where it is today. So I don't know how it would have been if I went the other route, and I don't really regret it. I regret having such weak bones. That's all. But that night, no pain. It was such an adrenaline rush and so exciting. Getting to do a big grand entrance like that in the Hammerstein is so much fun. And Cody being such a gracious person to work with, and he was very, very fun as a partner to have in Ring of Honor, because I feel like at that point he was really focused on like getting the most attention out of stuff, and it's like the thing we were talking about with Jericho. He wants everything in the match to be great because it's his match too. So that was just a night to be very proud of, and to get to fly the flag of the ROH World Champion. It's another thing, like you don't think starting off in wrestling, you don't know where your path is going to take you, and you watch these people ahead of you. You don't know if you're going to be able to step into the role that they are. You imagine yourself there, but then it happens, and now I'm the one who's the face of the company, and my back is broken. So it was like I have all this ambition and like I want to do so much with this position, but really alls I can do is try to hold on and fight through it. So like it was almost like each week I'm just fighting even harder than I was the last, because I'm starting to lose a lot of my ability. And then it got to the point where I wasn't even be able to get out of bed. I was still champion. So like, I can't even walk. How can I be world champion? But I went on for another few weeks. And then finally, after 6 months, they said they were going to take it off me, which was such a gift for me for my health.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was just disappointing because like I knew where my brain and my heart was, but at the time my body wasn't able to hold up for it. But I feel like because I had so much heart and ambition, like I fought way harder and longer than I think anybody else could have done in that spot, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud for the accomplishments I did because I know the limitations I had, and I know the performances I still gave, which are incredible. Because that's how biased I am. I'm incredible.
I think in pro wrestling, you sort of have to believe that, right? Like if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in you. So despite all of the adversity you have with literally having a broken back, like just knowing I can do this, it's going to be really hard and it's going to hurt a lot, but I can do this. And then people see you as champion in the face of this company and they're like, yeah, no, he can do this. People believe
and I think
in you.
a lot of like what's great now is like knowing how much I could accomplish at that point in my life and how much pain I was in. I look at where I am now with the afforded time off and getting myself back in shape. And I am stronger than I have been in the last 3 years. And I am more capable of performing so much better now than when I was world champion. So it's exciting to see like what can I do now that I'm healthy, and it gives me the positive approach to everything I do. Cause like now I trust myself more than ever. I know where I'm at and I feel great. So it's nice. It's a fun time in my career.
It's super fun time. I absolutely am loving this conversation. Coming up, we've got a little bit more about your background and fan questions coming up here on AEW Unrestricted. This is Aubrey and Alex here, AEW Unrestricted, with the wonderful and amazing Dalton Castle. And this has just been a wonderful, positive conversation that started at charcuterie boards and has gotten all the way to broken backs and believing in yourself, and just a wonderful, wonderful, positive, great way to start I guess Thursday morning based on when these
now
comes
let's
out.
start doubting ourselves.
Ooh, now we really
right,
get deep.
Right. We've got fan questions coming up, but first off, I wanted to ask about Ashley Remington, which is a character you used to portray, I think back in the Chikara days. Can you talk about how this character came about and a little bit about Ashley Remington and if it had any sort of impact on who Dalton Castle is now?
Ashley Remington was approached. I was approached by several guys, which you might know as the best friends.
There was a lot of Chikara boys at AEW.
Yeah. So I think Chikara was on a break for the year. They were doing a bunch of shows like Wrestling is Awesome. Just a bunch of different like offshoots. And I was a part of those shows. And they had the idea of this smooth yachtman that they were shopping around. It must have been a joke between them for years, I think. And then they approached me and they're like, hey, do you want to play this? We think you could play this role. And I said, let's do it. Because why not? It sounded fun. So we figured out a way to make it that Ashley is Dalton Castle in like a Brewster's Millionaire situation. We put together these like videos where my great uncle Crabtree dies and he leaves me a bunch of money, but unless I live the rich yachtsman lifestyle, I lose the money. So it was really, standard wrestling storylines.
Yeah, totally. Goodness, that is so ridiculous.
And I don't know exactly what their vision was, but I knew there was a sailor hat and they wanted me to be smooth. So like I put together some things. They came up with this ridiculous theme song. They wanted me to come out with ladies. And I don't know. It was another one of those things where you walk out and the crowd was instantly really welcoming and accepting to like the character, which like then they played along with everything I did, and it was fun. And like I think they gave me Chuck Taylor as my first match, which like he wanted Ashley to succeed as more than probably I did. So it was just ridiculous, and I love it, and I can't wait to do it again. I got to do it again on the first Jericho cruise.
Yes,
I came back as Ashley.
Wow. Well, maybe you can continue to revisit that throughout the course of your career.
Yeah, I feel like this Dalton thing has really run its course. Let's bring back smooth sailing.
Thank goodness for Ashley then. Let's continue on actually talking about, you mentioned theme music. We've got a lot of questions from fans about one particular band, and this one here starts it off quite well. So Katron Gbot wants to know, Dalton,
great name.
Do you have beef with Emi Sakura over your entrance music? Between the two of you, who is the biggest Queen fan?
Wait, what is her song?
She used to come out to Queen. She has like a whole Freddie Mercury gimmick for a bit.
Oh yeah.
Well then, yeah,
she's really big into it. And then she does the we will chop you.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. No, because we're using different catalogs. You know,
Good point.
My song's clearly my first song was a ripoff of I Want It Now, or I Want It All, and then I recently changed it maybe like a year or two ago to something. It's like a cross between Radio Gaga and Tears for Fears. Everyone wants to rule the world. So like, so yeah, I mean, as long as we're not using the same theme, we're cool. And she's clearly a cool person if she's into that kind of scene.
Yeah, maybe you can mix tag with her in the future.
Yeah,
you never
mix
know.
tag, not feud.
Yes, definitely
like
a mixed tag.
Better idea.
I feel like that would work really well, like the Dalton character along with Emmy, who uses refs as stools.
I do often pass Emmy backstage though, and I'm always like complimenting her capes and robes. We're always just like, ooh, yeah.
You do have a lot in common.
That's about our what?
Yeah.
Does Dalton drink tea?
What do you think, pal?
Oh
yeah, this is meant to be.
I think that this storyline is writing itself. I love it.
I want one of
got
those
another
hats
question
that she wears though.
The crowns.
Oh yeah, I guess that's what they're called.
Those hats. Just one of those, no big deal. Got a question from Gene Creamers. Whatever.
Filthy name.
I know. Gonna need to know what your favorite Queen song or album is.
I don't know if I have a favorite song. What is it? I've been listening to Barcelona, but that's not a Queen song. That's just Freddie solo, isn't it? I guess I Want It Now. I Want It All. Yeah, that might be my favorite one.
It's a good one.
Yeah. That's why I had to like lose it though, because I was hearing it too much.
Got a question here from AEW Metrics, who wants to know, what is the proper amount of rotations for the optimal Bangarang?
Oh, it's not about rotation. It's about centrifugal force. So if you get spinning quick enough, fast enough, you can drop them quicker. So it depends on, I guess, the size of the opponent. Like if it's Cheeseburger, I could probably go half rotation. But if it's Satnam Singh, I'll probably be there for a while. 3-4 minutes.
Now. Thanks for clarifying that.
Gonna skip ahead a little bit. We got a question from Joe. This is something I'm interested in. I didn't know this was a part of you and who you are until you kind of just dropped it a little bit in our first segment. But do you have a favorite painting or other favorite piece of art?
No, I don't think I like one thing where I just always go back to. I've got really short attention span, but I also have like a wide range of likes or taste. So like I can get joy out of like the simplest little painting if it's just like 4 splashes of colors that just look nice together, or I can go stare at the something from like Van Gogh, or like, ooh, this is messy and gritty. No, I don't think I have like one particular favorite. I did just go to the Frist. There's a museum here in Nashville. Here, me and David Arquette went to go look at some paintings and some sculptures, and there was like this guy, Jeffrey Robin. Oh boy, I should know the artist's name. I don't remember it, but he had a bunch of like jumpsuits made. He like had jumpsuits that were like art pieces, and they're like covered in beads and like crystals. And that was like, oh, this is really speaking to me. Yeah,
right up your
they
alley.
weren't for sale.
Ah, well, put them in an
At the
arm
gift
ringer.
shop. David bought me this.
Oh boy.
This, I don't know what they are. They're colorful balls in a thing. So got that.
I mean, that could be like a crown. We want
Potentially,
right?
or a necklace. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Hey,
look at that.
That's entrance attire right there.
Yes.
So I've got an interesting question here from Kyle, who wants to know, what's the funniest time you made someone break character? Because I got to imagine this happens quite often with you.
I don't know. I know times where I break. Like, I've been in matches where something just goes awry and I just blurt out, like, flat out laugh, because I think that's how I handle situations. Instead of freaking out and going, oh no, this is terrible, I laugh and say this is terrible. Oh man. Yeah, I
Do you
don't
remember one of those
breaking
moments for you?
Yeah, it would have been a long time. It was an independent show in like Buffalo. I remember this guy went to give me a body slam, and then he like went to do a leg drop and just missed. And I start belly laughing, like you could see me on the mat, like my chest going up and down. Yeah. And I remember RJ City was at that show, and I got to the back and he called me out on it. He's like, "You just flat out laugh in front of everybody."
Yeah.
I go, they saw what happened.
Sometimes those are the best moments. You're just being authentic.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Very funny.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, if you're enjoying it, you might as well. Then the crowd knows you're enjoying it. Even if
I'll
things don't go
never
right.
hold back a laugh. Yeah. It's painful.
Why would you
want me to hold in a sneeze?
No.
It's
Bad
and
things
why
happen.
would you rob yourself of that, right? Like,
Exactly.
You want to laugh? Let yourself laugh. Perfect.
Feels great. You can laugh in
Does.
public and you can't go to get arrested for it.
Got a question from Phoenix. You've been a beacon for Ring of Honor for as long as I can remember. What are your thoughts about Ring of Honor and the support of fans during the pandemic?
I love Ring of Honor. I'm very proud to be a part of it. It's a tight group, not just like the performers and the staff, but like the fans. I feel like truly, because of like the size of the audience was kind of niche and smaller than the other shows on TV, and it didn't get the exposure that we get on AEW. I feel like people felt like it belonged to them. It was ours, and it still feels that way. And for when the pandemic happened, to see so many people stick around and still support the shows that we were putting out there, even though it wasn't the same, it meant a lot. And that's, I think, part of why I felt so comfortable there and wanted to be a part of it forever before they kicked me out the door. I think that might be it.
I've got a question here that I absolutely have to know the answer to, because this is very interesting. So Julie Can Do That asks, well, she wants us to ask you about being on The Price is Right.
Yes.
I was on The Price is Right too. I'm dying to tell me your experience. This is insane.
Well, first up, Julie follows me, watches my Twitch stream all the time, so I know that name. But no, I don't. I wasn't on The Price is Right. I was on Celebrity Family Feud.
That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, but first, let's start with Price is Right with you. What you were on? Which where were they filming?
They were filming in Burbank, and I was the very last contestant to be called up. You know, they were going to call last one. I'm like, oh, that's it. All of a sudden, they call me, and I'm running down the
was it Bob Barker?
aisleway. It was Bob Barker.
Oh,
yeah.
that's so cool.
Can you believe that? Yeah, it was insane. It was insane.
Well, you are like what, in your 60s, right? So
70s, actually, yeah.
70s. Okay.
He's an old soul.
You got called down though. Did you get to play, or did you just get the guest numbers?
I got to play, and here's the funny part. So when everybody, I guessed wrong. I should have bid the dollar, but I didn't.
Yeah, but that's such a jerk move.
It is, right? But the person who bid that won, and then everyone was all like happy for them, and I was like, oh man. And then I realized the camera was on. I was like, oh. Yeah, I was super happy that they got it right. So yeah, amazing experience.
Oh man. Yeah, game shows are crazy. How shiny are you surprised how shiny everything is? The floors.
And everything was so much smaller, but it was fantastic. It was like going to a really well put together indie show.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, like a small, or like the new Ring of Honor tapings, where there was like a small studio and these big bright lights and everybody, and then guys in suits with skinny microphones.
Yeah,
that's true. We got to bring back that skinny mic.
Okay, so Family Feud.
Family Feud.
Yeah. Let's talk about Family Feud.
I got to be a part of Team David Arquette. It was me, RJ City, Jungle Boy, and Peter Avalon. Pretty Peter Avalon. The five of us versus Pee Wee Herman and his team.
God.
What a random combination.
Yeah, even more random and related to Price is Right. His fifth member on his team was Drew Carey, the current host of Price is Right.
Oh, come on now. He should be banned from competing.
Well, we were all nervous about it because like this guy hosted a game show, so he's like a ringer.
Right.
But then we kicked their butts so good that like Drew didn't even get to talk. I don't even think they got to like say hello to him. He never even put out one guess. It was
you're going to be banned now from Price is Right forever because of that. Right.
Yeah. So I documented the whole trip. I do like a YouTube series called Planet Peacock, and RJ and I were discussing like how we were worried that we were winning so fast that we thought we did something wrong. So we're like, none of these people are going to invite us back to anything. On top of that, we also screwed up the beginning part where they do like the silhouette. They're like, let's meet this family. And then like turn the lights off and everybody runs down. Their side was announced first and they screwed it up and didn't run down. So then they come to our side, the lights go on. And then I'm the only one who wants to move and everybody stays like statues. So then they just cut that scene right out of the taping altogether. We were probably supposed to be the first. They do 2 games on each episode. We were supposed to be the first game, but we screwed up the intro that they moved us to the second half.
Oh.
So I got some beef with the Drew Carey.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
we might have to settle that in an AEW ring.
Yeah. I know. Oh, we're hot scoops here.
If it wasn't for their mistakes, we would have been pushed up the card and been opening act on the first show.
There you go. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I've loved this whole conversation. Thank you for being here today, Dalton. Really
You're welcome. I'm happy to hang out with you guys. Not so much this early, got things to do, but
early for you, sir. I'm on the West Coast.
Yeah, I questioned the scheduling of
during
this
the course of this. Oh man,
you got to get to varnishing some wood or something like that, right?
Painting.
Painting. Oh,
we gotta varnish this guy.
Whoa.
It's a shark.
I got
Very
that.
Cool.
Definitely watch the video version of this so you can see this wonderful shark painting. You can follow Dalton on Instagram at The Planet Peacock and on Twitter at The Dalton Castle. You can listen and follow this podcast. We've got new episodes every Thursday, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Watch the video version and see Dalton's amazing sweater that he's been wearing this whole time that I haven't put over until this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
New episodes on YouTube. Just search AEW Unrestricted. We've got Dynamite TBS on Wednesdays. We've got Rampage on TNT Fridays. We've got Elevation on Mondays on YouTube. Dark on Tuesdays on YouTube. And of course, we've got Ring of Honor on Thursdays, where you can catch this guy and his boys and throwing them around like torpedoes. It's absolutely wonderful. I am Aubrey Edwards here with Alex Abrahantes. Thanks you so much for listening to AEW Unrestricted.